watching News Central TV. It's time for News Now. I am Judith Atibi. The top stories at this hour: Kaduna school children abductors issue March 27th deadline for 1 billion naira ransom payment. Nigeria's Port Harcourt refinery to resume operations in April receive 450,000 barrels of crude oil. Al-Shabaab's overnight siege of Somali's Mogadishu hotel ends. Details in a moment. We begin the news at this hour in West Africa, where the gunmen who kidnapped more than 250 students and teachers from the LEA Primary School and Government Secondary School in Kuriga, Kaduna State, have demanded that all ransom be paid by March 27, 2024. Earlier, the kidnappers demanded 1 billion naira for their release after they spoke with Jubril Aminu, a community leader. On March 7, 2024, the school children were abducted by the bandits who took them into the forest. Aminu, who acted as a representative for the families of the hostages, said he received a call from the kidnappers on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Nigerian military says it is collaborating with international partners to free the abducted students. And still with insecurity and the kidnappings, the kidnap of over 250 school children from Kuriga, located in Kaduna State, has continued to generate reactions. While some citizens have blamed the nation's political elite for not learning from the lessons of the past, Nigeria's military is, however, assuring citizens that operations are already underway to rescue the students. Amadi Uyi reports.
2014, Nigerians protested the abduction of over 200 girls from Chibok in Borno State, northeastern Nigeria.
Where are we from? Nigeria. Who are we?
10 years down the line, another mass school kidnap is sparking outrage among citizens. Some who were part of the movement to rescue the Chibok girls in 2014 say government has not learned its lesson.
The lessons learned have not been taken in deep by government, by the successive governments, and so there are gaps over time. Most of the issues that led to the upsurge in insurgency are those back in those days. Have they been addressed by successive governments? I don't think so. I don't think so. We still have rampaging poverty. We still have galloping lack of access to education, especially when you look at the north.
The military, however, seen the abduction from a different perspective. While they admit it is unfortunate, they, however, think that the terrorists are trying to get the attention of government.
Troops have decimated several of the terrorist leaders, their commanders and their foot soldiers, and are fast closing in on several others. The terrorists have exhibited gross cowardice by going for such sub-targets to impede troops' advances.
While the blame is being put on the shoulders of the political elite, the military on its own part is assuring citizens it will ensure the rescue of the students.
It's about time we speak to the northern leadership, the political elites in the north, and they have been the greatest failure in the scheme of things. Political elites in northern Nigeria, they failed the people, they failed their people, they failed the country. And because you keep seeing the pockets of crisis, the upsurge in this crisis that bearing up in different parts of the north, most of the schools are not safe.
We're in a state of war, and where you have war, ugly things happen. And so Nigeria is no exception for some of these things that happen during war. We will not rest until all these hostages return.
With the days already counting, citizens will be hoping the military will live up to its words. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Still with insecurity in Nigeria, the First Lady of the nation, Oluremi Tinubu, has reiterated her call for stiffer penalties for kidnappers. She was speaking when she received in her office at the State House Abuja the senators representing the 3 senatorial districts of Lagos State. The First Lady appealed to the lawmakers to address enacting security-related laws to stem the tide of this crime. She also admonished Nigerians to help one another. Joining us on the news to discuss this is Chidi Omeje. He's a security affairs analyst, and he's here to discuss more on insecurity. Chidi, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get started. The president, President Bola Tinubu, is following the steps of his predecessor with the no negotiation approach. So clearly this tactic has never been used to tackle these criminals or terrorists. But can negotiation be a way forward? Or would you say it's a tactic in this toolbox that has not been used yet when it comes to dealing with insecurity and these criminals?
You know, what we're in right now is more like a catch-22 situation. If the president says no dime will be paid as ransom, and if the terrorists, of course they are terrorists, if the kidnappers insist that ransom must be paid at a stipulated period, otherwise they will kill the victims, what do? What do you have the families of these victims do? Who do they listen to? Would they listen to the statement of the president, or the dictates of their own concern? Look, the president has not said something that is bad. What do you expect the president to say? There's no way he would, come to the world, come to announce to the world that his government is, prepared to negotiate with terrorists, or that the government is going to pay ransoms. So the president said what he ought to say, because as a matter of fact, if you keep paying these guys, you are reinforcing the crime. You are arming them more with funds to even fortify themselves for future attacks. But at the same time, we should understand that what is uppermost in our minds now is the safety of these victims. So that's why I said it's a catch-22 situation. It was a very delicate affair. But what I think now is that if the president is saying there will be no negotiation, there will be no ransom paid, it means it's another way of telling us that he has some plans up his sleeves, and probably that the security forces are up to some actions. But then again, we do not expect the security forces to just storm the place. Otherwise, we are going to have collateral damages on your hands. And we are dealing with children here. We're dealing with women and children and a few teachers with them. So it's a delicate situation. So right. I think as it is right now, that all efforts, all lands, this is the time to bring the art of statecraft to bear. This is time for us to see what those we have as our leaders can do at a situation like this. They must think out of the box. They must bring out those kids safely, and however they do it, is up to them, because that's why we are paying them, really. But as a matter of fact, I think that this is a catch-22 situation. So that's my initial response.
A catch-22 situation, like you said. Now, since the government won't negotiate, they've said no negotiation. How best can they handle this situation?
Whatever plan they have must at this point be very discreet. You don't expect them to come and announce to you what they plan to do. But I want to believe that they are meeting. They are setting motions in plan. The president is not known for flippant statements. I think it's one that if he says that there will be no room for any negotiation, then I want to believe him that he has some plans to rescue those people, because Nigerian people are expecting those children and their teachers to be out, unharmed. If at the end of the day, after 20 days, because those guys said after 20 days they're going to start killing them, I want to believe that the president knows what he's doing, that after 20 days, if those people start killing them, we will hold him responsible. Because after all, the primary aim of government is security of the people, security and welfare of the people. So we must give him benefit of the doubt. If he says no negotiation, no payment, then I want to believe that he has some plans, that he has up his sleeves, and it's not for us to begin to, speculate. I can't speculate on that. This is a sensitive situation.
There was an initial ransom demand of over 10 trillion, and now it's cut down to £1 billion naira when the president announced a no negotiation stance. Do you see the ransom reducing further from 1 billion to about millions?
No, I think we are mixing it up. I think we are mixing it up. The ones who said they are. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Please go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah, I was saying that I think we are mixing it up because the ones who said they are charging or that they are expecting trillions of naira are not the same. It's not the same set of victims.
Apologies for my mix-up there. But do you see? Yeah, but moving forward, do you see the price now that the ransom reducing? Because they said the president has now said no negotiation. They have put a date stamp of March 27th. Do you see the price reducing? 1 billion naira ransom. Will it be a cutback? Would they cut back on this, or would they be on a steady stance to say this is the amount, May 27th, we're not moving any further?
Well, it depends. It depends on the mindset of the terrorists. I mean, you know, if you read the minds of terrorists, sometimes they really want to play. They really want to set you in a state of flurry to confuse you, to destabilize you. Of course, if any one of them says they're expecting trillions of naira, you know that won't be possible. This one saying 1 billion naira. I think that ultimately what they want is money. These are just guys who want to milk the system, you know, knowing that the system, you know, is bleeding. So it's possible that they might bring down the something. But after all, the president said he's not going to pay. So are we talking about 1 billion? The president said he's not going to pay. Or are we expecting the families to raise 1 billion naira? Where would I get the money from? So it's like I said, it's a catch-22 situation. It's either that those guys, you know, release them, or maybe the security forces storm the area and rescue those people, or they begin to kill those kids. So this is a serious situation. That's why it is always better to make sure that this thing doesn't happen in the first place. That's why we have to be proactive to ensure that this thing doesn't happen at all. Because once they have the children, you know, with them, it becomes a very delicate situation. Because if you storm the area, you're going to have collateral damages. If you allow time to pass, they either sell them off, or marry them off, or kill them off. So the best thing to do is to make sure it doesn't happen in the first place. That's why we always say, let us get our internal security operations mechanism right to make sure that these things don't happen. Because once they happen, you are put in a very awkward situation as a government. That's the point I'm raising.
Right. Now, the military says it's collaborating with international partners, a collaboration that we are here for. The Nigerian people are here for this collaboration. But who might these international partners be? You're an security expert. Do you have any idea who these international partners might be?
Of course, we have many partners. We have so many bilateral relations with different countries. We have so many, you know, military defense, you know, pacts. I do not know who are coming to help, but wherever help can come from, it doesn't matter. Even countries like US, Israel, or other countries with all their military might, once in a while they also rely on some level of help, some level of partnership or collaboration with you know, foreign partners. So if we can get help, the help could be in form of maybe technology, it could be in form of logistics, it could be in form of intelligence, it could be in form of funds, it could be in form of boot on the ground. I don't know what it is all about, but whatever help we can get, whatever help we can muster now is good. I will do that as long as it can lead to the rescue of these people in Kaduna, in Sokoto, in Borno State. You know, and these are the ones reported. There are other incidences that probably are not reported, and people are languishing in the hands of terrorists. So whatever help we can get anywhere, whatever assistance, whatever partnership, collaborations, I think is welcome as far as I'm concerned.
It's welcome indeed. Chidi, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Chidi Omaji, the security affairs analyst, speaking to us about the insecurity and kidnapping. We'll move away from security now as President Bola Tinubu has sacked the son-in-law of former President Muhammadu Buhari, Janad Abdullah, as the Director General of the Border Communities Development Agency, just under 2 years to wrap up his second 4-year term as the agency's head. The president also approved the appointment of Dako Rinama Alabo George, and he's an ex-commissioner for works in Rivers State, as a replacement to Abdullah. George holds a PhD in construction management an MSc in Quantity Surveying and Construction Engineering, and a Bachelor's Tech in Quantity Surveying. He is a fellow of the Certified Institute of Practicing Professionals, USA, a fellow of the Association of Strategy Professionals, USA, and a member of other distinguished associations. And on to corruption charges, as Nigeria's anti-graft agency has named former Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, as a co-conspirator in a 100 billion naira corruption charge. Bello's name was mentioned during the rearrangement of his nephew Ali Bello and a co-defendant for money laundering at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had amended the charges on 5th of April, rising the number of counts from 10 to 17 against the younger Bello and his co-defendant Dauda Suleiman. Both men pleaded not guilty to the 17 counts amended charge before Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja. The Nigerian Civil Service Union has called on the federal government to consider the interests of Nigerian workers while implementing the Oronsoya report, which suggests the merger of government's ministries, departments, and agencies in a bid to cut down cost. The union made this call during their 58th Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, where they also urged government to fast-track the implementation of the proposed minimum wage. Marvelous Obumuna reports.
This is the first time the civil servants are meeting this year. The 58th Federal Executive Council meeting has become imperative owing to the ongoing debate on the proposed minimum wage by organized labor unions in Nigeria and the push to implement the Orasanya report.
We are talking about two issues that are of concern: the national minimum wage and implementation of Orasanya report. National minimum wage, we are no longer having the wage that can take us home. So NLC, TUC, and all the athletes, we are on the same page in the struggle that the government should increase the our national minimum wage so that we can meet up with the current challenges we are facing as a result of high cost of living.
There must be a critical evaluation, a critical study of the report so that it will not turn out to be a policy somersault. We are interested so that our member will not be out of job. We are interested so that at the end of the day, we will not turn out to be dependent when we are dependent at all. These are our focus, and I want to believe that when the time comes, all of us will rally around and get it right.
The union members are calling on the federal government to be fair while implementing the Orasanya report, adding that some of their members could lose their job and turn to beggars if the report is not critically analyzed and looked into.
There are going to be merger of some MDAs in the name of cutting costs of governance. But the union is also standing very firmly that they should be fair in the mergers or in the policy implementations. Being fair in the sense that we don't want loss of jobs. We don't want any casualty of loss of job. And we don't want our Nigerian workers to become beggars.
Since the removal of the fuel subsidy, people, civil servants especially, have been finding life very difficult, despite the wage award.
The union is also calling on the federal government to trim down political appointees at all levels of governance to save scarcely needed funds used in running their offices. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
And watching News Central TV, this is New Now. We'll take a short break. Stay with us. This is News Central now on. We're getting started now, moving away and now to the southwest Nigeria in Oyo State, where the Balogun of Ibadan land, Owolabi Olakunliyi, will be crowned as the next Olubadan of Ibadan land. Now, this is subject to the approval of Governor Seyi Makinde. Owolabi Olakunliyi, who is the next in line to the late Olubadan, will be crowned following the demise of the 42nd Olubadan, Oba Lekan Balogun, on Thursday. The state governor in a statement said Oba Balogun died at the University College Hospital, Ibadan. The late monarch, who was born on October 18th, 1942, reigned for 2 years. He will be buried according to Islamic rites on Friday at 4 p.m. The former governor of Ogun State, Olusegun Oshoba, and leader of Nigeria's Pan-Niger Delta Forum, Edwin Clark, have pledged their support for a change from the current presidential system of governance to a homegrown parliamentarian system. Now, this was during an ongoing nationwide consultation for the adoption of, of the proposed new system recently sponsored by 60 lawmakers of Nigeria's House of Representatives. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
It is the continuation of consultations to get the buy-in of critical stakeholders on the proposed bill to transition from a presidential system of governance to a parliamentary system of government. This time, the members of the House of Representatives proposing the bill visit the former governor of Ogun State, Olusegun Oshoba, and the leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, Edwin Clark.
Our father, our leaders, today we observe minutes of silence in the House of Reps 3 times.
Why?
All for purposes of issues of insecurity in several places. If we had a prime minister seated with us in parliament, I think that there is no way the prime minister will come back to face his colleagues with this problem still on ground.
Speaking after a closed-door meeting with lawmakers, the former governor of Ogun State says that the current system being practiced make those at the center too powerful and think that the parliamentary system of government will reduce wastage, share responsibilities across board.
How can somebody in Abuja stay here? I want to control the primary education in Kanuri, in Sokoto, in Bayelsa, in Ogun State. We are different culture. Security is very local. When people kidnap, if you make security local, people who know their terrain will easily know where these terrorists are hiding.
In his address, the leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum lauded the lawmakers for the initiative, saying that restructuring of the country can no longer wait. Otherwise, Nigeria will cease to exist.
When you talk about 1931 and 1927, restructuring of Nigeria can no longer wait. The present constitution is a unity form of government drawn by the military because of their hierarchy. Now today, the president of Nigeria is the most powerful president in the world.
They were tasked to revisit the National Constitutional Conference that was held in 2014. In Abuja for New Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Now, earlier on, we were joined by Dr. Oludare Akinlaja. He's a managing partner, OAR&D Company, and he spoke with us about this recent development. Take a look.
Over the years, people have always said that the top is heavy. How do you decentralize power to states? How do you make communities more responsible for their type of governance? We're a multi-ethnic culture. We're dozens of tribes and languages. How do you then drive governance from the top, where it is directed at the man that's as a basic community somewhere in Angwandosa and Pateka and Kaduna or somewhere, you know? So how do you take development directly to the people? So these conversations have been going on, and I guess one of the pillars upon which restructuring will be taken is going to be our style of governance. How this unitarian system where there's one president determining what happens everywhere, top, bottom, is too complex. So I think this is part of the conversations of unbundling our constitution and affecting how our governance and how we administrate the resources of our people.
Identity Management Commission says it is working to ensure that Nigerians within and outside the country enjoy a seamless registration process for the National Identification Number. Abisoye Koka Odusheta, the Director General of the National Identity Management Commission, also stated that NIN registration was free for all eligible citizens and reaffirmed the Commission's resolve to ensuring accessibility for all Nigerians in line with global best standards and practices. However, some Nigerians are still facing frustrations in getting their NIN. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
The National Identification Number, NIN, is a set of numbers assigned to an individual upon successful enrollment. Enrollment consists of the recording of an individual's demographic data and capture of the 10 fingerprints. Head-to-shoulder facial picture and digital signature are all used to cross-check existing data in the National Identity Database to confirm there is no previous entry of the same data. It is mandatory for every citizen and legal resident to enroll for the National Identification Number. However, some citizens are not having an easy process.
I'm just coming from the NIM office and my requirements as at now is still not yet met. So what will make me happy right now is first thing first, getting my NIM done.
I've been suffering for NIN issue since over 2 months. This time I come to their office here, Civil Defense Office. They keep on proposing me for number for the NIN. I want to know, is this NIN, is it for sale or for free? Because I've been suffering for this NIN issue, a lack of job since over 1 month now. I don't have a job because of NIN. Please, let the federal government look into the matter.
The Director General, Abisoye Koka Odushote, has given her words on a comprehensive national identity system that will streamline government services and enhance service delivery. She acknowledges the challenges millions of Nigerians had faced for several months during NIN enrollment and pledged that all issues, including long processing time and administrative errors, will be fully addressed and resolved.
We listened to the public's outcry on some cases of extortion through the offices of the front-end partners. And that is one of the reasons why last year we had suspended them, to ensure that we go through the whole process again with them, make sure that whatever loopholes, which is basically the means to which they are basically extorting people, we're able to close those loopholes to ensure that the citizens are happy with our services. We want to ensure that we prioritize the citizens to ensure that our services to the citizens is 100% seamless, hassle-free, and also ensure that it's problem-free for them.
There are so many difficulties that Nigerians have to navigate on a daily basis. It is hoped that all issues regarding a seamless registration will be resolved so that the NIN is not added to the list of worries of an average Nigerian. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
And now let's shed a spotlight on Nigerian women making their mark in journalism as we continue to mark International Women's Month. Now, while the industry offers a platform for powerful storytelling, the reality for these women can be complex. More details in this report.
At building a 21st century woman in every ramification.
In a field where journalists are recognized with the saying, gentlemen of the press, preferences and accolades are being skewed towards men daily. Other challenges many women journalists face, however, remain discrimination, safety concerns, and the need to balance work with family commitments. But these challenges have not stopped the rise of phenomenal female journalists in Nigeria.
You just have to create time for all these things because it's meant to be. They're all meant to be. You as a mother, you have the responsibility of giving what it takes to the family. You have to cook, you have to take care of the kids, take care of your husband.
Some men always see women as a weakling. Even if you are better than the men around you, they still see you as a weakling. And the first thing when you go for your interviews especially when they have any chance or any opportunity, is just to want to, take advantage. I won't say more than that. And it's a major challenge.
Also, the rise of digital media has opened new avenues for women. They are leveraging social media platforms to tell their stories and give voice to underrepresented communities. The 21st century woman is a talented woman, breaking barriers and reshaping the narrative.
In our own time, we don't have all those things. I can remember in the newsroom, you just have to use your head, you crack with your brain, you do your editorial work and the rest. And presently, you have the computer in front of you to do your news, to edit your news, to do all sorts of things you want to do. So that is the benefit of the technology we are talking about.
More women should pick interest in artificial intelligence because that is one direction that the world is going now. And if you as a woman wants to be ahead in the media, in anything you do, in fact, in anything you do now, you must be AI compliant.
International Women's Day is a chance to celebrate these achievements and advocate a more equitable media landscape, exploring the realities Nigerian female journalists face and the triumphs they have achieved. It is hoped that a bright future awaits them.
And watching news now, coming up, Al-Shabaab's overnight siege of Mogadishu hotel ends. We have the details after the break. Join us again. Welcome back to News Now. We continue to Senegal ahead of the presidential vote, where some Senegalese school students are more concerned by the country's upcoming presidential election, which they are counting on to bring about change. Gaston Berger University in St. Louis, North Senegal, was badly hit by the political crisis triggered by the delay up to the February 25th presidential poll. 2 students were killed and several others injured in protests that left a total of 4 people dead across the country. Some students in the university said they want to have a taste of a new system.
Balle m'a frôlé au niveau de la tête, ici, c'est-à-dire que sur le nuque. J'ai essayé de fuir malgré les douleurs que j'ai ressenties en ce moment. Et j'ai reçu au moment où j'ai commencé à courir, j'ai reçu une autre balle au niveau de ma hanche. Voilà. Et depuis lors, j'ai essayé de courir pour échapper à la mort, mais lorsque je me suis assis, voilà, j'ai senti vraiment des douleurs atroces.
C'était justement pour défendre la Constitution en tant que telle. Malheureusement, ce qui s'est soldé le 9 par le décès du camarade Alpha Yero Tunkara. Et subitement, les étudiants sont sortis pour protester contre le décès de leur camarade. Et c'est dans ces circonstances-là que notre camarade a été abattu, en l'occurrence Prosper Clédor Senghor. Et beaucoup d'autres étudiants qui ont eu quand même à avoir des blessures qui sont graves.
Donc nous voulons avoir un nouveau système afin que les jeunes aussi puissent continuer ce qu'ils avaient à faire avant. Si on prend par exemple l'exemple de l'immigration, avant, même si ça existait, ça n'avait pas autant d'ampleur comme actuellement. Et avec ce système-là, ça joue sur beaucoup de choses.
Stay with Senegalese politics. Senegalese opposition figure Ousmane Sonko and his second-in-command presidential candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye have been released from prison in Dakar. Their release on Thursday evening comes 10 days before the presidential election. Now, this follows weeks of crisis after President Macky Sall postponed the February 25th presidential vote. Sonko was at the heart of a bitter 2-year standoff with the state and has been in prison since July. The opposition leader came third in the 2019 presidential election but was disqualified from running in 2024. Sonko has endorsed Faye, who has also been in prison since April 2023, to replace him on the ballot. And in Somalia, as Al-Shabaab's overnight attack siege of Somali's Mogadishu hotel has ended. Armed fighters had stormed the SYL hotel in a hail of bullets late on Thursday, with Al-Shabaab claiming responsibility in a brief statement. Sporadic explosions and gunfire had rung out early on Friday from the hotel, the target of several previous attacks by the Islamist militant group. There has been no official casualty toll from the attack, which took place during the holy Muslim month of Ramadan, and no official comment from the government so far. And off to Ethiopia, where the former president of the southeastern Somali region has been released from prison after 5 years. Abdi Mohammed Umar, commonly known as Abdin Ile, was arrested in August 2018 and charged with inciting violence in his volatile region. The charges followed fighting in the regional capital, Jijiga, and nearby towns that left dozens dead. On Thursday, the Justice Ministry announced that Abdi's charges had been terminated for the sake of the people's interests. The restive Somali region is Ethiopia's second largest, but also one of its most unstable. In watching news now, still ahead, Yemen Houthi leader threatens continued strikes on ships. Join us again. You're welcome back to News Now. We turn our focus now to the Israel, Gaza and Hamas fallout as Yemen Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi has said that the rebel movement's operations will continue as long as the aggression and siege on Gaza continues. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels who control the capital Sana'a and much of the country's Red Sea coast have launched numerous missile and drone strikes against ships since November. In a televised speech, the Yemen Houthi leader said what can stop the naval operations is only stopping the aggression and siege on Gaza.
توجهنا الجاد قناعتنا هذه أن نستمر وأن نواصل بفاعلية وبتوسيع مدى عملياتنا هذه لتصل إلى مناطق وإلى مواقع لم يتوقعها العدو أبدا. وطبعا معركتنا الأساسية في هذا هي منع السفن المرتبطة بالعدو الإسرائيلي ليس فقط من المرور عبر البحر العربي والبحر الأحمر وخليج عدن، إنما نتجه بتوفيق الله تبارك وتعالى وبمعونته سبحانه إلى منع عبورها حتى عبر المحيط الهندي ومن جنوب أفريقيا باتجاه طريق الرجاء الصالح. هذه الخطوة المهمة والمتقدمة والكبيرة بدأنا ننفذ عملياتنا المرتبطة بها. عمليات الإسناد في هذا الأسبوع كانت 12 عملية لاستهداف السفن.
And on to Russia, where the country has begun voting on Friday in an election set to prolong President Vladimir Putin's rule by 6 more years. Meanwhile, Ukraine branded the vote a farce and launched a barricade of deadly attacks on border regions. Now, officials in Moscow warned against any protests during the March 15th to 17th presidential vote after calls from the opposition for anti-Putin demonstrations on Sunday. The Kremlin says the vote will show that the country is fully behind its assault on Ukraine, and polling stations have been set up in Russian-held territories. Ahead of the election, Kyiv ramped up its aerial bombardment of Russian regions just across their shared borders. And now to the U.S., where the father of a Michigan school gunman who killed 4 students has been convicted of manslaughter. The trial held the head that James Crumley had ignored his 15-year-old son's mental health needs, buying him the handgun he used in the November 2021 attack. His wife, Jennifer Crumley, will be sentenced next month after being convicted on the same charges. Their son, Ethan, killed fellow 4 students while 7 people were injured in the shooting. He's serving a sentence of life in prison without parole. And on to business now, where the group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mile Kyari, says the Port Harcourt refinery will commence operations in about 2 weeks. He made this known in a press briefing after he appeared before Senate ad hoc committee investigating the various turnaround maintenance projects of the country's refineries. Kyari also said the mechanical works have been completed on the Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna refineries, stressing that the Kaduna refinery will commence operations in December. The NNPC GMD also told the Senate that over 450,000 barrels of oil had been stocked into the Port Harcourt refinery. Stay with Nigeria. The country's apex bank, that is the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has restated its position that banks in the country cannot use their foreign exchange FX revaluation gains to pay dividends or cover operational expenses. In the circular signed by Adetona Adedeji, the acting director of the Banking Supervision Department, the CBN warned banks against such actions. Now, the directive follows a previous letter from September 2023, which instructed deposit money banks to stop utilizing gains from FX revaluation for dividends and operational expenditures. Revaluation gains occur when the value of a bank's assets and liabilities dominated in foreign currency increases due to exchange rate fluctuations. And on to Ghana, where its government has initiated formal discussions with international bondholders, including BlackRock, Amodi, Greylock, and Arbdin, to restructure over $13 billion of international bonds. This follows Ghana's default on most of its external debt in December 2022 amidst severe economic crisis. Now, non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, have been signed, temporarily preventing these bondholders from trading the notes for a minimum of 2 weeks. Now, the government's goal is to reduce its external debt repayments and increase cost by $10.5 billion from 2023 to 2026. And now to sports. For the African Games, there's two female Nigerian boxers, Patricia Mbata, 70 to 75 kg, and Blessing Oraikwe, 66 to 70 kg, through to the semi-finals of their event at the ongoing 2023 African Games in Ghana after being drawn by. Now, the pairings were done on Wednesday ahead of the commencement of action in the ring on Friday today, as 11 countries have already won medals, with 8 women boxers receiving byes to the semi-finals and finals in different categories. The byes are due to few entries recorded in some of their weight categories. Now, in the semi-finals, Mbata will face Radi Grameen of Mozambique, just as Oraikwe will fight for a spot in the final against Ibn Zina of Tunisia. And on to Europa League, when Mohamed Kudus scored 2 remarkable goals as West Ham dominated Freiburg in a 5-0 thrashing, securing the spot in Europa League quarterfinals alongside AC Milan and Benfica. Lucas Paqueta and Jarrod Bowen, they contributed goals before halftime, while Aaron Caswell added another with a precise strike. However, Kudus stole the show, sprinting from deep within his own half to secure the 4th goal. The Ghanaian capped off his impressive performance with a shot from the edge of the box, marking another milestone in West Ham's European journey under David Moyes.
You were a bit critical of Mohamed Kudus after last week and the way he gave the ball away. That's quite a special performance and 2 special goals as well.
Yeah, I just mentioned there, if anybody in here can remember sort of dribbling wingers who used to run and take people on and snaky hips and find their way through, that was a little bit of that tonight. It was a brilliant individual, really sort of Roy of the Rovers type.
And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Kaduna school children abductors issue March 27th deadline for 1 billion naira ransom payments. Nigeria's Port Harcourt refinery to resume operations in April receive 450,000 barrels of crude. Al-Shabaab's overnight siege of Somali's Mogadishu hotel ends. Now remember that you can send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number now displaying on your screen. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Judith at TV.